OCTAVE BLUE ENTERTAINMENT.
Measure. Present.
Artist collaboration.
The whole process of the project, each of the artists is going to paint a set of 3, 4, 5 paintings. When he's done with the painting, he's going to move to the second artist. And then he's going to react to what the first artist did. And then the paintings, once the second artist is finished with, he's going to go to the third artist.
George Le Chevallier is a mixed media artist who was born in Paris, France, then grew up in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Over 20 years ago, George had his first major solo exhibition. Since then, his paintings, photographic works, and public installations have been published internationally in distinguished galleries and museums. Because of his multi-ethnic background and countless travel experiences, George is fluent in French, Spanish, Italian, and English. George currently resides in Raleigh, North FRIEDRICH is a low-def pop artist and cartoonist. Paul was born and raised on the basketball courts of Raleigh, North Carolina. After college, he spent 3 years traveling America. He has ridden his bicycle twice across the country. Paul FRIEDRICH is considered to be one of the most successful artists and writers in the low-def pop art movement. He is known for his humorous paintings and characteristic bold colors and lines based on his Eisenhower Award-winning graphic novel, Onion Head Monster. Sean KERNICK was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1977. At age 10, Sean moved to Philadelphia. It was from that time, up until he got to high school, art and drawing were his main interests. At 17, he became involved in the graffiti scene with a graffiti crew out of West Philly. Sean attended Syracuse University and majored in illustration. 2 years later, he transferred to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, New York. Sean currently resides in Raleigh, North Carolina, where he is heavily involved in the art scene.
We worked on another project for an Obama show that we put together with a bunch of other artists, and then he came up with this idea.
3 the Hard Way is an experimental process of painting by mixing a mixed media artist, which is me, a cartoonist, Paul FRIEDRICH, and a graffiti artist, Sean KERNICK.
Where 3 artists, slightly similar styles but yet distinctive, come together, take each other's paintings, work on them, and push them on to the next guy.
Throughout the whole process, we don't see the painting, so everything is pretty much a secret until the end when we see the painting again.
For me, it is about 3 people who are dedicated to what they like doing, you know, in creating artwork, and kind of melding it into one hard piece.
Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat, they did a combination of paintings together, and they literally, both of them work in the same painting. This time we're having one more person, which is, we're gonna have 3 people. You're taking 3 individuals with the same goal in mind as artists, different techniques, and we're gonna bring it together.
Artwork is a way of expressing feelings, thoughts, emotions, memories, and so it's a way of translating these feelings, you know?
It's not the person, but the painting and the work that's gonna come through, and that's what the important thing is. I usually do my own canvas just because I like the process. Spiritually and mentally, I create the painting from beginning to end. I'm already thinking of what I'm gonna do. I like the heaviness and the physicality of the object before I even start painting. Okay. These edges are really sharp right now. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to just hammer a little bit the edges to bevel them a little bit. There's not gonna be any wobbling. Everything's gonna be from the middle. Everything's gonna be flat. Fold it up neatly and
Here we are at the Stew with Post and Martial Law. It's a music studio. It's actually a collection of studios, but we're going to one in particular. It is a very cool place. Love hanging out here. I come here a lot, and they got a door that I'm going to cut up and use as the basis of my art piece for the show. So come on, we'll take you through and show you. Sometimes people get creative down here with their expressions on the wall as well as with the music. So a lot of friends and family folks have gotten loose on the walls and have put their name up or done their thing. The reasons I chose to get a piece of wood from here is because I like being around creative people, and I think that a place that has created a lot of music and a lot of cool stuff is a great place to build a solid piece of art. So having a door that was once on the studio at one of these places seems like it makes a lot of sense to me. So. Now, I don't know if you can hear me over the music, but I'm in dress clothes, not because I like to dress up or because I'm somebody's agent, but because I came right from my day job. My life is a hustle from day job to creative time to art time to graffiti time. It's a big mix, so I ain't that weird. This is what we'll be using. It's heavy as hell. Oh, it's gonna take 2 people to lift, and it's gonna take some creativity to break apart. Oh shit. Yeah. So you know what I'm thinking? We how much is this here? So we need another foot, right? Yeah. Because this is too far, right? I mean, ideally, I'd like to have, if we could have a piece that had the window in it. The reason I chose wood, and I don't always necessarily choose wood, It's more about it being a found object. So this was the object I found in this situation. It kind of also lends itself to graffiti philosophy, where like you're more connected with your environment when you're painting on it, around it, in it. So by me going around in my world with my friends here, or be it out on a train yard or wherever it is, by finding things, I feel more connected to what's around me. So today it's a door from Sony DreamWorks Studios to here in the stew, and to then in my into my studio. Tomorrow it could be a discarded stop sign, you know? All right.
So I've already cut the canvases to size, and these are squares, so it's really easy. I don't have to worry about which orientation of the canvas is going to be. Actually, I like it as part of the build-up to painting. Let's see some action now. I do a series of paintings, which can be 3 or 4 to 12, sometimes 15 paintings at one time. And what I find is, before I get to do that, before I even, maybe I've cut the wood and I've cut all the canvas, but I haven't stretched it yet, I tend to do a lot of other stuff that's not gotten done, like cleaning, vacuuming, mowing the lawn. And I kind of equate that to like a dog spinning 3 times before they lay down. Like, once the house is clean and everything else is done, then I can start painting. Okay, so stretch the canvas. It's pretty loose. Then I'm going to apply the gesso acrylic. It's a little bit thicker than regular paint, and this will provide the base. If I didn't do this, the acrylic would not stick as well to the canvas or take longer to apply. For this experiment, or this project, I've got some ideas, but I don't know for sure. So I've painted the front. Now I'm gonna, and then I need to do the sides. If I'm working on that series of paintings where I'm doing 15 paintings and getting ready for a big show, I can actually reverse my schedule where I'm sleeping from 9 in the morning until 5 at night, and then get up and start painting again. If I'm really in the zone, then I'll forget to eat, and just, like I said, keep working until the paintbrush keeps falling out of my hand. So that's the end of the gessoing. For now, I have to wait for it to dry, and then I'll just do another coat, and then wait for that to dry, and then we'll go to the next process or my process.
What I'm doing right now, it's a color scale. Have put tape to have straight lines. And it's going to be a combination or juxtaposition, because everything is so natural materials and organic shapes, and suddenly I have a really sharp painted scale. The more I paint, the more anxious I'm getting to see what the hell they're doing. I like to put photographs in paintings. I know for me, the thing that interests me the most when I go to somebody's house is to look at the photos in the wall. And I think all of us have that kind of voyeur mentality. That's why things like Twitter and Facebook are so big right now, just because you get to see everybody's photographs. And this is a little bit inspired by that attitude. Also brings kind of a dream quality to the paintings. We're looking at the painting, and suddenly we have these kind of weird landscapes that pretty much are unpopulated. I try to take pictures of places that have no people. So suddenly it feels more like a dream more than anything. Down here, I took some pictures of boats. This is in Chile, in Isla Chiloé. It's a small island in the south of Chile. And I really didn't know what I was going to do in the painting. So after looking at these photographs, kind of inspired me to create this kind of a textural boat-like painting inspired by the colors and the textures of the boat. I really hope that Paul and Sean can do something great with this, because I really, really don't like these colors. They're shocking, they're loud, and it's a big challenge now to see what they're gonna do. And for me, it was extremely tough because I really want to go in and finish this painting off. There's a lot of things in my mind that I want to do. This one, as of right now, is pretty much done. Okay. What I'm doing is a question mark, which I like to do these question marks throughout the whole world. The artist, it's the one, for me, who asks questions.
So, thinking about what Paul and George are doing, I started I'm looking at their websites and I see what they normally do. I think George is probably going to work. He's going to stretch his own canvas because he likes to do that. And then I bet he's going to be pretty free with his colors, and he's going to make a very kind of design-ish kind of thing, I think. And I don't know why I'm seeing like Post No Bills kinds of poster-looking stuff on there as well. I'm just kind of imagining that. And I bet Paul might be exploring those like tall crickety figures that he does. He does these cool like Don Quixote-ish, shadowy, bony, kind of crickety, I call them crickety things. But I mean, this is like me trying to be psychic. Really, I got no damn idea what they're gonna do. So I did the drawing. You know, there's two sides on this door. There's this side and then the side under it, which is actually the clean side. This side has this the sticky stuff from the soundproofing, and it's got kind of the broken edges up on this side as well. It was a dirtier side, but I actually wanted it to be that way because I thought with J.J. Cale being the kind of blues rugged singer that he is, he's older now. He the rougher side was more fitting for a portrait of him. I can still see, I'll still be able to see a rough line on what I'm working from.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Dad.
That's okay. You got it on there a little bit?
Dad.
Thank you.
Sorry, Daddy.
You didn't mess it up. You're fine. So we're going to close up here for tonight. The sun is going down and the pieces need to do some drying. So the wheat paste here is still going to be tacky for a little bit, and it's got these little balls of wheat paste on it, which we'll pluck off as it dries, and the J.J. Cale piece is going to be damp for a little bit, and we want to make sure that they're both completely dry before we go to the next stage.
So since the last time we came, we did the gesso demonstration. I've done 3 large paintings and 3 small paintings. The paintings started out much like this, where I do the sketch and then the black outline over that. And then from there, it's exactly, for me, like a coloring book, where I start doing the colors and then build up the layers, 4 to 8 layers of color to get the shine that I like. And then I go back over it and I do the black outlines one more time to bring those back out. And I can give you a demonstration of that right now. The trickiest part for me when I'm doing this is not to stick my hand into the wet paint. Hoping George's will have pinstriping in it, so I can work with that. Sean's, I don't know much about his style. I've seen a few things. I'm hoping that's going to have a lot of traditional graffiti aspects to it, so I can work with that. Since I'm viewing this project in some ways as graffiti, like I've tagged this wall and they're going to come and either work with it or tag over it.
It's late Wednesday night, and we're here at the Sandbox. We're gonna do the first exchange of paintings. I haven't seen any of the paintings that Sean or Paul have created, and I haven't seen any of mine. I talked to Paul a few weeks ago, and it kind of slipped out that he's really excited about his paintings. I guess they're really good, which kind of crushed my heart because now there's a lot more pressure on me. Now it's the interesting moment of the project. This is what we've been waiting for, the exchange. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Next stage, I have half of the paintings from Paul, I have half of the paintings from Sean, and we're gonna have about a month and a half to react to whatever everybody did. And after a month and a half, I guess we'll do another exchange, which will be the final one. Probably we're just gonna work on them for a week, and it's usually the last week.
Where are Sean and Paul right now?
They're in the next room, hiding. I think we're gonna come in one at a time, and we're gonna look. It's kind of like Christmas in July right now. We're gonna be looking at the work, and they don't have any idea what I have created. I don't know their reaction. I can only guess. Here we go. I haven't seen the paintings behind me. Let's take a look. As far I think Sean gave me one, and it was extremely heavy from what I saw. So here we go. Wow. Nice. See, I already have the brain working. I like them. As a matter of fact, I might just be able to quit the project right now and just steal these paintings. Paul is giving me more of a challenge because his paintings are more finished. So it's going to be a little tough. I think, again, he's pretty clear in his painting process. So I like the color combinations, the blues, the black, and great. Both of these artists I really admire. I'm glad that Paul decided to bring in his onion head monster. It's something I really, really respect. I really love this onion head monster, and it's going to give me a chance to work with the onion head monster. It's going to be a challenge, a good challenge.
Well, it is 11:30 and the night of the exchange, and I've already been surprised. I clearly don't know how to follow directions because I didn't do the right amount. I didn't get the sizes right. And in terms of what I'm going to expect now, I really don't have any idea what's behind me. I have a pretty good idea that there's some onion head monster dudes, cartoon guys bugging out, and a pretty good idea that there's some crazy George art going on too. So, but that's a very umbrella statement I'm making. I think the hardest part is over, which was like getting into the rhythm of this whole project. And at this point, now that me, George, and Paul, who were pretty much strangers before this project. I mean, I knew George, but I didn't know him that well, and I barely knew Paul. So now that we've become closer, and I'm closer with you guys as well, it's more of a fun project than anything else. So I'll find a way to jive in with what's good behind me, you know. All right, so I'm ready to turn around and see what we got here. Wow. Awesome. Oh, man. See, I was pretty close. If you look back in the tape, I said there's probably some onion head dudes. There's probably some crazy mixed media stuff that I was expecting. These photographs are cool here that George used. See, here's the one thing that I'm nervous about a little bit. And it's what I was getting nervous about with my big piece, is that with that big Oscar Peterson piece, I pretty much made a full painting, which makes it weird because, and it was hard, it's hard not to do that, but then it makes it hard to fit in. So now, any way that I approach this to the viewer would probably look all right, but to the artist is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like somebody's wearing your clothes while you're wearing them, you know? So I think everybody's a good sport. And I have no idea how I'm going to fit into these yet, to be completely honest. I really don't have any idea. This is going to be a challenge. This one I can work with, because you see, this looks very similar to what I've been kind of doing in a lot of ways, with this kind of pushed back texture. I think I could work with this one off top, just not a problem. I'm going to have trouble working with Paul's. That's going to be tricky because they're full paintings, well composed, they look good, everything's balanced. I kind of want to keep them. I kind of want to keep all of them, just hang them up and not answer the phone anymore. Yeah. Well, maybe I could get some help from my daughters. Maybe they can give me a fresh perspective on what I can do and how I can fit in here. But we'll make it happen. This is going to be cool. I'm worried about the room I left for George, but I'm really excited about this next stage. I think the hardest part is behind us, so moving forward, it's going to be a lot more loose and a lot more fun. So we'll see you guys at the next stage.
While I was in the isolation chamber, wasn't thinking much about this. Still, from what we talked about the other night, thinking about, just have no idea what I'm going to see. And from there, I'm not going to have much of an idea of what I'm going to do until I see what I've got to work with. I've got zero idea, no idea what's going to be presented to me. I've got from George's work and Sean's work, I know it could be just about anything, any style, and I'll just have to work on a solution when I see it. Big moment. All right. It's a little bit different. Sean's stuff is a little different than I thought. I like it. I think previously I had said I thought it was going to maybe be a more graffiti style. It's got a little bit of that. It's got a lot of illustration in it. Both of them have given me open space to work with. And I'm just going to have to sit down and look at them for a while and think about how I want to approach it. I think the hardest part is going to be messing with what they've done. I like what they've done, and it's going to be hard to think about it, not in terms of it being a work of art, but being a work of art that's not completed yet. So now my challenge, my job, is now to take the paintings, take them back to my studio space, I think I'm just going to set them all out and sit down and just look at them for an hour or so, and then start to make some sketches and think about possibilities that I can do. The one that's caught interest right away is the one Sean has made with the window pane right in the middle of the glass. It's been a long time since I've painted on glass, and it's a different surface, and I'll probably work on that one right away. As I look at George's paintings closely, I'm starting to think about what he's written, and I'm going to have to look that up and trust the internet to translate it, and maybe see how close the translation comes to it, and see what I can do with that.
We're here doing a little bit of drinking and a little bit of drawing. In Raleigh, Paul has been involved in these gatherings called drinking draws. And so it's a social get-together of artists who get together and drink and draw. And so this is like a mini version of one of those. The three of us here collaborating on a series of drawings and sketches and paintings and whatever have you.
This is a combination between drink and draw and fight club.
That's right. The basement atmosphere here definitely has a mafioso kind of hair to it.
First rule about drinking and drawing, you don't talk about it.
Except for right now on camera.
Dear life, call your newfound savior. You end your battle. What a perfect place to say, saved with words of valor. Cause a fine stranger won't let you down, changing your life from the lost to found. Who's your hero? Through your faith, you bring unbelievers. Through your words, bring unbelievers. It's a part of your faith, my friends. Who's your hero? It's a matter of faith, my friends. Who's your hero? Dear life, call your newfound savior. You end your battle. What a perfect place to say, saved with words of valor. Cause a fine stranger won't let you down, changing your life from the lost to found. Who's your hero?
I'm here for the big reveal of the third and final stage of the project. when I get the word, I will turn around and get my first reaction to what my life is going to be like for the next month. All right. Wow. This is pretty cool. I like this. First reaction is some of the stuff, the graffiti-like images, is what I was hoping for that I'd see from Sean. It's stuff that I love. And it's good to see that George has continued this thread of the photograph collages and the sentences or phrases. Again, I don't know. If I was walking into a gallery looking at these paintings as a spectator, I would immediately go to this painting. I like the character, I like the colors, I like the splatters, the aged look to it, which is kind of funny because last time there were a lot of jokes about this piece since it's carved from a door, and it's the heaviest piece in the show. And I was kind of dreading carrying this one around and working on it, but it's hands down my favorite. This is kind of the hard part. This kind of, once I pick these paintings up and take them out to my car, they're mine now. And the next time we see them complete, it will be officially the Three the Hard Way painting. It won't be my painting or George's painting or Sean's painting. It'll be a Three the Hard Way painting.
All right, so this is the reveal. So I'm going to turn around. The reveal is what we're calling it. Yeah. I'm going to turn around and check out what we have. So, whoa, oh my God. Wow. This is crazy. That is crazy back there. He combined it into one big one. It's funny, I can't tell who did what. Like, I can't tell who touched those first, This is crazy seeing these. They look so different than the ones that I've done. This is going to be fun. I'm actually, at this point, I feel so much more comfortable that now I can already see where I can live in these things, This whole gold area is great. That's going to give me a lot of room. I'm probably going to segment these apart. And it looks like he put some sort of texture on here. That's food again. That's food again. I'm telling you, my dog is going to start eating these things. This looks like rice and beans that he put on here. That's funny as hell. So this guy here, it's interesting. Some of these look like the bigger ones look like they're meant to be put together. I'll probably put them apart. But then some of these, like these two, I might fuse them together. That's why I like working with Paul's stuff. It's almost like he sets up the story, and then I can maybe drop a punchline in there or something like that, or add an interesting element cartoon-wise. And this guy is cool because he's looking sneaky, and I like sneaky stuff. I like that kind of. I'm into kind of mischief and acting mischievous, so. That's what this onion head here looks like he's doing. So I could wipe this whole thing out. I could put a spray paint can in his hand and paint the whole maybe literal scene, or maybe, it gives me a lot of opportunity here. I'm much more excited in general about the opportunities that I have in this stage than the last stage. I think because I worked out a lot of the kinks in figuring out how to play this game. And now that I know how to play this final stage, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I haven't seen the paintings behind me right now. Paul and Sean, they put the work they have been working on, and this is it. It is the last stage. So let's take a look at them. Oh, wow. Wow, at first glance, almost doesn't seem that like there's that much work. I mean, at first glance, I still see a lot of Paul. This is coming through from Sean. So Sean, and same thing, almost like at first glance, it seems like they respected each other a lot, which is interesting. Immediately already have ideas of what I'm going to do, see what's going to happen. I like this one a lot. Definitely, you see a lot of of both, and in a sense, this painting is almost like a marriage, and I'm going to be the housebreaker or the marriage breaker because it's almost perfect. There's no space for a third person here, which I'm going to have to force my way. So, yeah, this one almost like again, this one is almost unfinished. I mean, this is almost finished. I see the graffiti, I see Paul, and we can destroy them. Okay, so I guess that's for me. It's kind of interesting because you have a lot of Sean, and then you have this small part of Paul, and it's nice. So he left it blank. I'm amazed nobody touched this, which immediately the first thing I'm thinking is pinstriping. Okay, that's just beautiful. That's going to be great. So that's going to be pinstriping. Given the fact these are wood, this might give me a chance to maybe bring third dimensions, bring maybe pieces of wood, but this is just at first, I'm just thinking out loud. Saxophone player, musicians, I take it that Sean went with the music theme. The original painting, the big door, the heavy door, was piano, and I see guitar, I see saxophone. And have you decided on a plan? Even the quotes also have to do with the whole process. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a good challenge, I hope.
I think during the last time when it was presented to me, I said I was going to struggle with it because this was my favorite, and this one I considered done, and anything I did would possibly take away from it. So all I added was 1, 2, 3, 4 tiny brush strokes in white, and hopefully I didn't mess it up. This one's in the process right now. It's coming along, the paint's drying, so they left me almost with 2 separate paintings in this one. There's this side, which was left empty with a few things. This side, I love the buildings here. I think that's a beautiful painting. These were left blank, so I'm trying to fill those up, and then the photographs are down here. Up here was like an introduction to art, color squares. I didn't really like those. I didn't think that went with the painting, so I gave that a good thick black border, which I think goes with this black shadow and the black down here. So I'm in the middle of that one. This one was another one that I considered to be pretty much complete. It had Mickey Mouse with no color, photograph, and a headline back here. What I did was just pick several colors at random, kind of blindly, and just painted them whichever color I grabbed for whatever spot became that. I was presented with the track runner, a big question mark, which seems to be a common theme with George's paintings. Really nice, I'm guessing Chinese pages from a Chinese book maybe. Back here, more photographs on the bottom, which is, I believe, in almost every painting that I've seen presented to me. Picked out the colors here, I'm real happy with those. I'm not gonna leave it alone up here so we can see the Chinese lettering. I think some of those turned out pretty good. Because they were done so quickly, got to see insight into people's techniques and approaches. Okay, this painting was the one painting I didn't know what to add to it as far as my own drawing, and that's how I came up with the idea to color it. And it's kind of an absurd Mickey Mouse image, so I went with absurd colors, just picked colors at random.
I'm gonna be painting this gold so the figures can come out. It's kind of messed up because I just realized that he used gold in this letter, so I hope it doesn't blend too much. What I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be pinstriping. I already did the first layer. My whole point, I wanted to be able to see through the glass. And I just need to work backwards because the first thing that I did is going to be the first thing you see on the other side. So I have to plan the whites, which is the highlights, first, and now I'm going to have to do the background. Usually I would pinstripe with this pinstripe brush, which has a lot of hair. It's long and it holds a lot of paint. The thing is, this is made for creating really long lines, and for something this small, I almost like to use this lettering brush. Gives me more flexibility and it's a little bit funner. On hot days, this would dry pretty fast, but it's really cold today, so I can do a lot of work with this small amount of paint.
So about 3 weeks ago, I moved into my new studio here with a friend of mine. I share the space, and we're in the basement studio at Bonded Llama, which is a artist, collective, collaborative co-op space. A lot of nittier, grittier kind of artists here. It's a great vibe, there's a great energy here, and I feel very much at home. And I feel like I'm very blessed to have this spot. So I'm excited to get to work. So I got all of the paintings into the studio from the exchange, and all of them had been touched by George and Paul already. And this is the first big one that I finished, and I'm actually very happy with how it's all come together. Paul, it looked like, had made this boat and a sign that said the ship travels through the night, and I created two nocturnal animals, this nocturnal ferret and a night owl. This ferret's kind of riding this night owl through the night. I also did this nighttime texture with spray paint. It's all spray paint back there, including the white dots. I thought this needed to be something that crossed over. I started creating these bat-like bird creatures that flew up there. I just stuck with a simple design with those bats there, and I think it came out nice. This was the first smaller one that I finished. Paul had created these guys, and I love the way that he crops his characters. They're so kind of uncomfortably comfortable in their cropping, you know. It always leaves a little bit to imagination, so that gives me a lot of leeway in terms of design, because it's so strange and almost peculiar that I can add, I started adding these wormy bug creatures in the background, and then once I did that, I set this spray paint pattern on top of it to push them back a little bit. And then I did a detail of an ant here on top of the photograph. Excuse me. And so I have, it's kind of an evil bug kind of scenario that's a little bit abstract. I mean, all of them tend to be, ended up being a little bit abstract and surreal. So here's the second one that I was able to finish up. This one had, Paul had created, I'm not sure who did what, to be honest, but Onion Head Monster here was tiptoeing up these stairs, and so I replaced the stairs. I had a friend of mine in New York take photographs of these houses in Brooklyn, and then I printed them in different sizes and cut them and wheat pasted them on. And then as a design element, I put a graffiti piece, an old school style graffiti piece in the background to kind of give it the letter form, kind of dancing up the stairs along with him. And I think the composition is fun here. I think that it works, and the gold and the blue and the grayscale, I think, transitions nicely as well. I'm happy with this. All right, so I'm working on the smaller piece here. This one, it says, "We're the Mobster Lobsters from Camden and New Jersey," which is funny because I grew up in Philadelphia. It was right across the bridge from Camden. And this one also compositionally leaves a lot for me to, doesn't leave a lot for me to work with, but conceptually certainly guides me in a direction that I feel comfortable with, and that's in creating characters, cartoon characters, stylized. So when I saw Mobster Lobsters from New Jersey, immediately I get inspired to do some, some real kind of gangstery mobster icons. And so what I did was I sketched these up real quick. They're pretty loose. But what I have in mind is to do two lobsters, one with kind of a fedora and a Tommy gun, and then the other with kind of slick back hair, cigar, and a little espresso cup on his claw. And then I have this guy down here because I think that he's kind of a cool, stylized mobster character with the gun guitar case. And there's a few things that are going on in here which I liked. I'm not sure if I'll incorporate, but I liked having them here just as a visual reference. The shoes that have the stripe, the tie that's thin, that comes below the jacket. I mean, it's a real kind of Harlem Renaissance style gangster, but I think that look and feel is cool with the the kind of sinister mustache and the gold tooth. So in laying this out here, it's pretty loose, and I'm gonna kind of discover it as I go. There's not a whole lot of room to work with. I know that the main guy with the espresso cup is gonna go in this area here. The Tommy gun guy is gonna have to be thought out, because maybe he can be tucked in lower with the gun coming up, but because the letters go across the whole page, like I said, there's not a lot of leeway, so I might have to adjust a little bit. But I like leaving Paul's text as untouched as possible, which is tricky, but he's got a certain tone and you know, language that he speaks with his brushstroke, which I don't want to you know, mess with. I'm very excited about this espresso cup here. But I'd like to have some sort of Italian gesture with the other claw. I think that'd be cool. Maybe that can happen. So I want a real, like, what's the matter you kind of hand going on back there. But a hand has a lot of, like, fingers to express itself with a claw. There's not a whole lot, so it's almost, you have to do it with the shape. This was a smarter way of doing it with this paint pen, is I can control the path around the letters better. So I'm gonna take my time and finish this up here, but the next time, you know, I see you guys and see all this, everything is going to be completed and the show is going to be on. So I've got a little bit of hustling to do, but that's okay. And I'm looking forward to it. So.